My name is Rob Arthurs. I'm a Canadian international trade advisor and entrepreneur, and I spent 14 years with the government of British Columbia working directly in international trade and market development. Over my career, I've founded or co founded 14 companies, four of which are active exporters, selling into multiple international markets. I've led trade missions around the world, welcomed inbound trade missions into Canada, and worked hands on with governments, investors, and businesses navigating complex global markets. I've seen firsthand what works, what fails, and what separates companies that grow internationally from those that stay stuck. What I want to share with you today is why Canada's recent global trade moves matter and what they signal for businesses looking ahead. Canada is entering a new phase in global trade. Around the world, supply chains are being reshaped, geopolitical risk is rising, and countries are rethinking who they trade with and how they manage economic relationships. In this environment, relying on a single market is no longer a strategy, it is a vulnerability. Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent visit to China needs to be understood in this broader context. This visit is not about symbolism, it is about economic positioning. China is the world's second largest economy. For Canada to disengage entirely would limit options for Canadian exporters, farmers, and investors. What this visit represents is a reset of dialogue and a return to pragmatic engagement after years of tension and uncertainty. The announcements coming out of China point to renewed cooperation in trade, agriculture, energy, food safety, and regulatory dialogue. These are foundational issues that reduce friction and restore predictability for businesses on both sides. One of the most important outcomes is progress toward normalizing agricultural trade, including reduced barriers on key Canadian exports such as canola, seafood, packaged food, pet food, etc. For Canada's agri-food sector, this is not abstract diplomacy. It is about stabilizing billions of dollars in trade and protecting rural jobs and supply chains. At the same time, Canada is taking a more strategic approach to imports, including electric vehicles, balancing domestic industry protection with global market realities. This signals maturity in trade policy, not retreat. But this story is bigger than China. Canada is actively strengthening trade relationships across Europe, the Indo-Pacific, Latin America, and the Middle East. With access to more than 50 trade agreements, Canada is positioning itself as a reliable supplier of food, energy, critical minerals, clean technology, and advanced services. The message coming from these engagements is consistent. Canada believes in rules-based trade. Canada is diversifying its economic partnerships, and Canada intends to compete in a multipolar global economy. For businesses, this matters. More trade agreements mean more market access. More dialogue means fewer surprises, and more diversification means greater resilience when global shocks occur. In a world where protectionism is rising and uncertainty is becoming normal, countries and companies that stay engaged will outperform those that pull back. Here is the key takeaway. Global trade is shifting, and Canada is repositioning itself with intention. New agreements and renewed relationships are creating real opportunity, but only for those who act early. If you are a business owner, exporter, investor, or entrepreneur, now is the time to ask a serious question. Is your business aligned with where global trade is going or where it used to be? Markets are opening, supply chains are evolving, and Canada is building pathways beyond a single market. The next move is not political, it is strategic. Want help with your strategy? Connect with me. Let's do this. This message is brought to you by Robert Arthurs International.